What's up, guys? It's Captain's Production 72, and here I am with the second episode of collecting all the complete Saga minifigures in Lego. And yeah, this will be easier to produce episodes, at least at the start, than other series are, because there's more variety of things to get a hold of. But in this episode, I'm going to be adding two minifigures to the stand, and this will be pretty cool. And I've actually made some changes to ones that were already on, a few modifications that I talked about previously, that just to make them that bit more accurate. And I will admit, at the time of filming this, they're not here, but I will include them in probably either the next episode or the next one after. I've got a couple custom minifigures arriving at some point. One of them is an import, the other two are within the UK, so it'll be easier to get, and you'll be getting an episode of this next week as well. It's kind of like whenever I've done these series in the past, the first few episodes fly out like that because I'm able to get a couple out here and there. But I may at one point be able to get at least two of these out a month, because there's the figures, like I've discussed previously. You've got the figures that are just the same as they were in the sets that were in the game, like the Clone Trooper or the Mace Windu, Palpatine. You've got figures that are modified versions like Boba Fett, the Count Dooku. Then you've got things that are completely custom, maybe like the Queen Amidala, the Captain Panaka, the Magna Guard. And the ones that were real, just official Lego figures that were used in the game, will be so easy to get a hold of, because things like Tusken Raiders and stuff are quite cheap. But before I get into the new minifigures, I'm going to show you the changes I've made to existing ones. So I spoke in the last episode about capes. Now, there's one thing I'm undecided about. I need to double check. I'm actually playing through the complete saga here and there. And Kit Fisto, I believe, doesn't actually need the cape. Really cool minifigure. This one is a Engineer Customs minifigure, for those who don't know. I may make a whole episode at some point just going through all the custom ones that are here and who made them, because I didn't actually do that in the last episode, but I think that could be its own kind of fun video. But yeah, I may be taking the cape off that one because I'm currently undecided on that. Again, I'm double checking the source material on these things. It was also brought to my attention that the Indiana Jones I have technically on there really shouldn't have the satchel, so I'm going to have to double check and look into that. But really, apart from that, that's just those things. But here's the things I've changed. So the Obi-Wan was basically just a swap out. So this Obi-Wan is a real minifigure, and he has a bit of a frayed cape, fair enough. This Obi-Wan is the one from the set Grievous Chase from 05. He doesn't have the headset print, so it kind of makes him a bit more accurate to the game, which is unfortunately a change I could not make to Anakin. There's a guy I found on eBay, right? So there's a really cool custom minifigure seller in the US on Instagram called Brick Rebellion. Now, none of the things here... Wait, no, correction. The Luke Skywalker Tatooine we showed off previously is a Brick Rebellion minifigure. See, sometimes I do get lucky and people import some of these figures into the UK. In fact, I found a guy on eBay who's actually a reseller of Brick Rebellion stuff in the UK. Every couple months he gets some new stock in, so I may replace the Anakin with that, but this is what Anakin looks like with the cape. He now looks like right out of the game. Now, granted, the headset, you could say, lets him down. Yeah, in 05 there was a version of Anakin with no headset, but unfortunately it's the light up version. And the light up version is a black cape and whatnot, and it just wouldn't work here very well. So there's just things like that, but he looks really good. The Obi-Wan perhaps needs a chrome lightsaber, because like I said, going through this series we'll be making changes here and there to certain minifigures. Like, a lot of these minifigures still need things swapped out. Like, there's a Clone Trooper in here who still has a normal blaster. In fact, any of these minifigures who have regular blasters actually should have them swapped out for, like, either the pistol or the megaphone style blaster, which again, I will have an episode where I go through and just change out things like that. So the other minifigure we changed, and this is the one that probably looks the coolest out of the ones we've changed, is this. So this is the Luke Skywalker, and he looks just like he does at the start of those Return of the Jedi levels. Looks so good. Very happy with this one, indeed. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, his facial expression, the Luke Skywalkers don't really need a custom facial expression like this one, which is a Brick Rebellion minifigure, does have that complete saga-esque kind of, look to his face. But I'm very happy with this one. Again, just throwing the cape on them made all the difference. And, you know, that's all the figures that I've actually changed or done stuff to. There's a few that I'd like to do, you know, excuse me, things weapons-wise, but again, those will come in later episodes. So, here is the two that I am adding to the stand. Now, there's a third figure, but I want you to debate in the comments if this third figure should even be included. So the first one we got up is Princess Leia. Now, she's the 2007 version you got in the Death Star and the UCS Falcon and the Tantive 4. And she looks just the way the one does in the game. I don't see the point in going out and getting custom one with the facial expression if this one just looks the part. And we're going to be adding her there, so that's like the first, one of the very first figures we've actually added in an episode, which is going to go. Because obviously, when we filmed the last episode, I had a whole bunch of them here already. But that's a nice one to get that space taken up. I have been trying to eye up some more of the original trilogy ones, like the Rebels. Not quite found any of those yet. Now, the next minifigure we're adding, for now, technically has a defect unless I'm able to find the correct piece. Excuse me, I'm yawning quite a bit. Sorry. This is the Half Rebel Trooper from 07. Now, the goggles should be white. I, for some reason, cannot find the white goggles. Again, that instead of just leaving them off, I thought to myself to leave them on. That way, leaving them on, I'll see it on the stand, and it immediately draws my attention. I'll think, right, I need to change that at some point. He goes between Han Solo and Dak Rattler. So, I have the next 3 episodes of this kind of in my head, kind of sorted out. So, the next episode, I'm kind of thinking, in fact, no, before I get into that, I've got this minifigure here. So, in the game, you play as Luke and Han as Stormtroopers, and the Luke version is inaccurate because it has the wrong hair. I'll probably just buy one and swap out the hair, I don't know. But obviously the weapon is not the final weapon, but this Han Solo looks very close to the one you play as in the game. Like, I don't think there's a difference. I mean, I've got an original Stormtrooper here. I don't see a difference in the torsos. And yes, this one has a yellowed helmet. I do plan on replacing it. Again, future episode stuff. Has the same torso as the one from that era, just has the facial expressions, not the kind of correct one. Because in later versions of the Death Star set, they changed out the peoples and stuff. So I want you guys to debate with me if this figure is correct enough to go in here. But the next 3 episodes, one will be just discussing the custom play, the minifigures and where I'm getting them, and how I judge good ones and blah 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 blah. I want to do one on. I've got 2 packages of custom figures coming. One's the US one, that will have its own episode, specifically just for that thing. Because that one will be kind of a cool deal to get that one. The other 2 are Brick Rebellion customs that have been shipped to the UK and are being sold in the UK. They 2 figures will get their own thing together. Just there's some things like that will qualify for their own episodes. But anyway, I really want to thank you guys for joining in this episode. Very cool to keep this going. Yes, there'll be episodes like where a majority of the things we talk about are changes I've made to make them more accurate. Again, let me know in the comments if you know any good custom sellers worldwide that are doing anything cool like this, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. I don't know why I said tomorrow there. I'll see you guys next week.